Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Conversation with me, Kathy Jackson. I hope you have your hot cup of Joe. If you are anywhere in the Chicagoland office, I know office in the Chicagoland, I know you need it. I know I do. So thank you guys for joining me. Sorry I missed you last week. Things just got a little hectic and I couldn't make the broadcast. And but I'm here today. And today, guys, is juicy. We are going to talk about going from doubt to your destiny. Now, as many of you know, as of last week and a couple weeks ago, I've been really focused on things that I'm learning from the Bible. And the reason is I've been spending a lot of time doing uh, self-development. I've really been on this road for years, and I've read a lot of motivational books, a lot of self-development books, self-improvement. And what I find is that all of the information, and I mean all of the information that they use in all of these books, it's nothing new under the sun, guys. It all comes from the word. So whether you're a believer or not, the stories, the inspirations, they that people are using to for self-development and self-growth, it is coming from the Bible. That being said, I want to tackle the subject of self-doubt. A lot of us are sitting in situations where we're unable to move forward and live out our dreams, our destinies. We're not walking in fulfillment of what we were put here to do. And the biggest part of that is self doubt. So, as I was reading, I did a little research, and what I found out is that some of the greatest people in history suffered from self doubt. Now, we know the final story, and this is what happens when we look at people. And it's also the danger of when we look at people on some of these videos, these TikToks and YouTube, when people have done well and they're showing out their lifestyle and how they're living now. But what doesn't get highlighted, what doesn't get shown is the process that they took to get to that place. I'm not saying that they're not there, although you have to do your research. Make sure that you're following the right person and that they actually are living the life that they're displaying. But many people have done well. But what they don't show you is the self-doubt that they have and oftentimes still do experience. But I wanted to highlight a story, somebody that we've all heard of, and talk about how they dealt with the self-doubt that they were experiencing. Guys, I hope you're out there. Say hi to me. Let me know you're listening. I know a lot of you guys listen to me. You tell me later on, but you never say hi. So if you're out there, say hi to me. I'd like to know you're there. But today I want to talk about one of the greatest stories in the Bible, one of the great heroes of the Bible, and also one of the greatest doubters in the Bible. And that is Moses. So, if you've been living under a rock and you've never heard the story of Moses, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. The children of Israel were in bondage to the Egyptians, and Moses was the deliverer. God chose him to be the person to go to Pharaoh and challenge him to let the people go and have the people follow him to freedom. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. And you might have heard about the burning bush when God spoke to Moses from the burning bush. This is what the conversation was about. He was like, Moses, hey, I want you to go be the mouthpiece for me. I want you to go talk to Pharaoh, tell him to let the people go, lead the people out of captivity. And you know what Moses said? You would think that he said, yes, Lord, let's go. No, what Moses said was, who am I? He was like, why would I do that? Why you pick me? And so, and also I want to give you guys this, if you have never read it for yourself. This story, it goes from Exodus 3, 4 and 14 through Exodus 4, 16. So go ahead and, make sure I'm not telling you anything wrong. I always check my facts. But I'm paraphrasing too. I'm bringing this, I'm putting this in my own style of speaking, because I can't speak the way, hey, Rick, I can't speak the way Moses spoke, and I certainly can't speak the way God speaks, but I can speak the way God taught Kathy to speak. So what I got from the story was that he told Moses to go, and he didn't feel adequate enough. He was like, but Lord, who am I? Why I can't go and do that? But God told Moses, I am with you. See, when you're given an assignment from God, what you need to know is that he will equip you with the resources that you need, that he is with you. So we're going to go a little further into that in a minute. But Moses actually gave like 4 excuses, and then one flat out like, no, I don't want to go. So the first one, he was like, it was, who am I? I'm not enough. How many of you, in trying to go for what you want, you feel like maybe I'm not enough? Maybe I don't know enough. Anyway, the second excuse, just think about that. Just think about that. The second excuse Moses gave to God, he says, if I go and they ask me your name, what should I tell them? So basically, he was saying, God, I don't know enough. Like, if they start asking me questions, what am I going to say? Who am I going to tell them you are? I don't know enough about you. That just hit me somewhere. But here's the thing. God told Moses, he said, tell them I am sent you. Now, I'm definitely not going to get deep into Bible study, but basically what he did was he revealed himself to Moses, who he was. And he answered his inquiry about who are you, God, basically. And he told him, I am that I am, and tell them that I am sent you. And so he basically revealed who he is to God. Now, in those days, that was enough. Like, that was information, because, like, he's talking to God. There's some practical things we can do today. If you say, well, what if they start asking me questions? You start out on a journey. You're afraid because it's your first time doing it. You don't feel like you know enough. You don't feel like you can help people, that you know enough. So you say, what if they ask me questions? And that's where that fear comes from, because you feel like you don't know enough. But today you can do the same thing, first of all, that Moses did. You can say, God, give me wisdom. How can I figure this out? Help me. That's number one. If you're not a believer, maybe you can ask Google. Now, I ask God first, then I ask Google, because there's some practical things that you can learn when you Google the information. Guys, you can read the Bible to learn who God is. And when you know who he is, you're not alone. You can Google some information. You can watch a YouTube video. You can read a book. You can go to seminars. You can take classes. You can get a coach. Anything that you don't know, there's ways to find it out. So the more you know, the more confident you'll be. So when you're ready to move out and move forward in your destiny, you have gathered information. So when people begin to ask questions, you have the answer, and that gives you confidence. So, ask the questions that you need to ask before you start and get the answers. The third excuse Moses gave is like, God, what if they don't believe me? He was like, they're going to tell me that you did not appear before me. Why would God appear before you? What if they don't believe me? How many of you have been concerned that when you want to step out and do something, that dream that's burning inside of you, and you want to step out and do it? How many of you are concerned that people won't understand you. They won't believe you. They won't accept this new reality of who you are. Guys, that's a big one, because as much as we like to say we don't really care what people think, not true. Hey guys, hey sis, hey Sylvia, welcome. So as much as we like to say that we don't really care what people think, it's not true. We are all afraid of how it will be received, how people will perceive us. But you know what? This is what God told Moses. God told Moses that, first of all, he assured him they will believe you. But Moses kept protesting. But what if they don't? And so then God said, hey, if they don't believe you, they'll believe the 3 powerful signs that I sent, or plagues. He sent the frogs and the locusts and, all the plagues he sent. So he says, if they don't believe you, don't worry. I can show them better than I can tell them, I guess. But in a practical sense for today, once you start moving into your assigned destiny, you get all the information that you need to get, and then people will start to see the signs that you're changing. It'll be like you'll begin to talk differently and act differently. You'll start going to new places and stop going to old places that you used to go to. Some of the old things that you used to do, they're just not going to fit you anymore. It's not going to feel right. And you'll know that people see the signs, they see the wonders, because they'll start saying things like, you've changed. How come you don't come around here anymore? Or why do you do this? People will acknowledge the change. Yeah, people will acknowledge the change. So there'll be signs and wonders. They may not be locusts and frogs, but people will start to wonder, like, she seemed to talk differently now. She seemed like she a little educated. She seemed like she know a little bit more. People will know the difference once you start walking into your destiny. And I really wish we could say, who cares what they think? Because that's really what it should be. But the reality is, a lot of people care. A lot of people care. But once you start getting more knowledge and information, and you start getting more confirmation, and you start walking in that destiny, you'll get to the point that you won't care as much. Okay. So then the fourth excuse that Moses gave, and I'm hoping that you find any of you all finding these excuses kind of hitting home. If it makes sense to you, say makes sense. Just type makes sense in the tab if you understand these excuses, because Moses seems like he really is not that different from a lot of us when we break it down like this. So then Moses began to beg. He said, please, Lord, I have never been eloquent. He's telling the Lord, I don't want to speak in public. I'm afraid to speak in public. I don't speak well. And so then God said to Moses, who made men's mouths? Who made men seeing or blind? Who made men hearing or deaf? Like, I'm in control. I got this, is what he told him. And in the end, if you know the story, God actually assigned Moses' brother Aaron to go with him to speak for Moses, because Moses was afraid to speak for himself, to speak up and speak in public. Guys, just so you know, that is a phobia that 77% of Americans have, speaking in public. It's called glossophobia. Glossophobia. And so if you have that fear, number one, you're not alone. But you need to know that having that fear of speaking in public, it costs you in terms of career. They say 10% of people who have this fear, they're not promoted, they're not recognized on the job, and if they're promoted to a manager role, they're constantly having to figure out how not to speak, because if you're in a leadership role, you have to be able to speak to people. You have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to make a sales pitch. You have to be able to talk to people. So it's a fear that's very common, but it also has some very common consequences when you are afraid to speak in public. So just like we're talking about all these other things, there are ways to learn to overcome that fear. You want to practice it. You want to get with Toastmasters, get with some other groups where you get to speak and talk and really practice. Everything gets better with practice. You remember when I'll use a real quick analogy, maybe your first time cooking and you had to learn how to fry an egg, right? The first time you fried that egg, you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't know how long to put it on and when to flip it and how much salt and pepper to put in it, all those kind of things. But then you did it, and then you did it again and again. And eventually you got to the point that, like, you probably fry eggs and don't think about it twice. The process of it doesn't even cross your mind. It's so automatic. And that's what typically happens with everything that we do in our lives, guys. The first time we do it, it's scary. We're unsure. We need to check to make sure we're doing everything just right. And then you get to the point where it's second nature. Well, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this, but I'll go to the final thing and then we can start talking about some practical things you could do. So the final thing that Moses told God, he said, "Please, Lord, send someone else." I don't want to do it. So when we break down all of those fears, all of those excuses, all of those doubts that Moses had, the heart of the problem was he just didn't want to do it. I don't want to be the one. Guys, that's what you have to get to when you're dealing with fear. So here's the thing. We have these same doubts as Moses do. They won't believe me. I don't know enough. I don't know how to speak well. I'm scared to speak in public. And then we got a whole skew of other ones. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough money. There's nobody to help me. We have all these excuses, all of these doubts, all of these fears. And at the end of the day, most people who don't move on to their destiny, the reason they don't move on to their destiny is because they literally just don't want to do that. They don't want to step outside of themselves, of what they're used to doing. They want to stay in the lane that they know because it's become comfortable, and they just want to hang out there. In order to get to your destiny, you're going to have to step out of your current lane. If your destiny was in your current lane, you'd already be there. So you have to step out. And for every excuse that you have, God has a promise or a provision to help you with that. If you don't know enough, there are things out here where you can go and gather the information. And I would strongly suggest that be your first plan of action. Gather more information, because when you get information, you become more confident. And then at some point, don't stay there though. A lot of people like to stay in the information gathering stage, and then they get stuck because every time they want to do something, oh, well, I don't know this and I don't know that. You know what? I'm going to go and take a class and I'm going to learn more. I don't want you to get stuck in the information gathering stage, guys. I want you to move forward. At some point, you just have to do it. For every fear, there's either provision or promise. God gave Moses, I will be with you, and he will be with you too. Whoever your God is, this is a story used to help show you that one of the greatest heroes of the Bible suffered from self-doubt and from fear, and really just wanting to stay in his own lane and not get involved, not have to do, because see, if you step out there, you got to do a little work, right? And things are not going to always go exactly like you want them to go. When you got all your information, you got your promises and your provisions, but then the people still don't listen to you, because that's what happened in the story with Moses, right? He had to go 3-4 times before Pharaoh finally listened and let him go. And even after that, Pharaoh, after he let him go, he chased him down. So it's never going to be so easy. It's never going to be easy, but it's so worth it. Like, in the end, Moses is the hero for the Israelite people. He's the one that set them free. But had he languished in that self-doubt, that he doesn't speak well, he doesn't know enough. What if they don't believe me? How am I going to answer the questions they ask me? If he had stayed there, then the story would have come out a lot differently, right? And it's the same for you. If you stay there, the story's going to come out a lot differently for you. And a lot of times people try and fight God. I'm going to tell my sister's story. So my sister, as you guys know, is a published author now. Started writing in the pandemic. Never wrote. 59 years old. No, I'm just joking. She's 57. I just wanted to put her age up. But she started, 55, 56. Anyway, she started writing her first novel, wrote her first novel at age 57. It won an award. She'd never written, hey, Leon. She had never written a novel, never written anything of that magnitude prior. She was just sitting around in the pandemic, and the Lord told her to write the book. He was giving her the story, and she was like, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And then every day she woke up, he gave her a little bit more of the story and a little bit more, until it was just like it was in her head and she couldn't run from it. And so she finally just wrote it down. And then as she started writing, it just poured out. And people was like, how you do that? It just pours out. Now she's got a second novel out. And I don't know if she's telling it, but I'm going to tell it. She's got a sequel to the first one. And bottom line, she got 5 books written. 2 of them published. 3 of them coming out soon. But she tried to fight that urge to write. She tried to fight God. And how many of y'all know this is what she said all the time? You're not going to win that fight. But we can push it off. But God kept coming back to Moses, and he answered every excuse. He dealt with every doubt, and he can do the same for you. If you're doubting, try and figure out what that thing is. Now, if you're not sure what your destiny is, that's a big word, and it's kind of mystic, and everybody's not that woo-woo where you can, figure that out. But let me tell you, it doesn't really have to be that big a deal. Chances are the thing that you're meant to do, you already thought about it when you were very, very young, as a kid. Something that you wanted to do. It may be some of you may know it, some of you may not. It may be in the back of your head. This guy came to my studio last week, an older gentleman, and everybody was painting, and he was asking me about the business, and I was telling him that I wasn't an artist. That I wasn't an artist, and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, what made you open a paint and sip studio? He said it had to be something already inside of you that led you to this business. You don't just open up a business just willy-nilly like that. He was like, because you go to a lot of places. Like, I went for my birthday party, hosted a paint and sip, and that day I was like, I'm going to open up one of these. Right there in the studio, my very first time. He was like, that doesn't just happen. Like, you don't go to the hot dog stand and get a hot dog. Like, I'm going to open a hot dog. He was like, it's something inside of you. And he made me think about it. And the truth of the matter is that as a very young kid, I always admired the guys in my classroom at school because they could draw. Like they would draw the comic book characters and, they could really draw. And I was amazed at that. And I tried it. I used to draw secretly. I never let anybody see me because at the end of the day, I sucked. I mean, when I tell you I couldn't draw, my stick people needed help. So I have always secretly admired artists. I really have. I have always admired artists. Now, I went through life avoiding art like the plague. Anytime I had a choice to do an art class or something else in school, I chose something else. It didn't matter what it was. I chose print shop. I chose bowling. I chose tennis, anything but art. Whatever else that other choice was, that's what I took because I was not going to put myself through that because I knew I sucked. I couldn't do it. But secretly, literally, nobody but God knew that I had an admiration for artists. And so the guy, he brought that back to my memory, when he asked me that. And I was like, oh my God, nobody's ever asked me that. And you are absolutely right. I have always admired artists. So that being said, if you're not sure, you don't know what that path is for you, then spend some time without any distractions and just think about the things you used to do as a kid. Just go back in your memory and think about where you used to play, what you used to love to do, and just think about some of those things and ask God to reveal it to you. You got to ask. You got to take some time. You got to ask. And I highly suggest you read the Bible. It is opening up my world. Even though I've always believed, now I'm reading and it is opening up my world. So that being said, I hope that you guys have gathered something from this, that you will start going from being a doubter to your destiny. And you can do that by gathering information and by just taking a chance, taking a small step. It doesn't have to be a big step. You can just take a small step. And ultimately, God is going to give you the provisions that you need in order to move forward, because this is where he wants you to go. If you have an idea about something, don't think you thought that up on your own. God gave it to you. And if he gave it to you, he's got some promises for you at the end, and he's got some provisions along the way. And don't get discouraged when people don't believe you the first time. You got to keep going. Moses had to go back several times before they let the people go. You got to keep going. You got to keep trying. Everything doesn't work out right the first time, but every time you try something, you learn something and you get a little better. So, here it goes. My pickleball reference. Y'all know that's my latest and greatest hobby. Natalie said, do it scared. Right. So I have a coach in pickleball, and he says that he has never missed a shot in pickleball. Pickleball, you play it with tennis. Y'all Google it. It's so fun. And come out and play with me at the Croc Center on Monday nights at 6:00. It's $5 if you don't have a membership, but you do have to be vaccinated. Anyway, so come play with me. I'll teach you. But anyway, as he coaches, he always says he's never missed a shot in pickleball. And you know why? He said, because if it doesn't go over the net, now he's got to measure. He sees how much more power he has to put into it to get it over the next net the next time. So anytime the ball doesn't go over, he hasn't missed. He's measured. And now he makes an adjustment. And that's how you learn in pickleball and in life. You don't really miss, you just measure and make an adjustment. So that being said, I do want to this is a total change. I do want to announce that Deja Hue Art is now officially a franchise. And if you know of anyone who might be interested in owning their own Deja Hue Art studio, go to DejaHueArt.com or send me a text or something. Let me know and I'll give you the information. But the information is on our website. There's a video that explains everything, and there's information out there. Woohoo! Yes, thank you. There is information out there so you can own your own Deja Hue art franchise, and we can work together. We will train you, and you do not have to be an artist. That is the cool thing. But if you are an artist, that just gives you one leg up, but we can teach you that part. Don't even worry about it. So I am excited to see where this journey takes me. I am following the destiny that God has laid before me. He has provided for me to this point. Franchising is a whole other big giant step for me, but he has provided some people to help me to learn how to do this, guys. I did some research. I got some help. I got some provisions to help me, and I can't wait to see what the promise is on the other side, but it is going to be awesome. So, and if you're doubting, like, let me tell you this. When I said that, you was like, ooh, I could do, and you were like, I don't have the money. Oh, I'm not an artist. Yeah, but I don't talk like Kathy. She's not scared to talk. Yeah, see, there's all the excuses. All the excuses. Eric Bradley say, God's got me. All the excuses out there, God's got a promise and he's got provisions. And if you thought about it, that first thought, go with that. Go to my website, fill out the contact information, and just gather the information. That's all we're going to do when we contact you. We just going to tell you what it's about, and you get to make a decision from there. So I want to thank you guys. Hey, thank you guys for listening and participating. I appreciate all of you. Some of these I don't see until afterwards, but I see quite a few today. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. I am going to finish off my coffee, and I will see you next week as we have more conversation. Thank you. Be blessed.